Hello and welcome to another M30M live stream at the Tavern. Today is a great day, full of love, especially because Monster Hunter Wilds came out last night at midnight here, so I played a little bit of that till about 2. An hour of that was just me making my character, and that's what I want to be doing right now, but I do love my job, so we're going to do this first. Thank you guys for hanging out. I see you guys are voting right now. It looks like the Genie was going to win. Oh, it didn't win. Oh, that's what was winning a minute ago. We're going to work on some different things today. I'll kind of just bounce around. Man, I didn't expect all those votes to fly in. I love it. Hello to Ricky, Aloha, and Ella. Alrighty. And I'll probably stream tomorrow as well. And then I'll have many more updates and specifics about Monster Hunter Wilds. So far, very, very happy. Absolutely love it. But I haven't played much of it because, again, most of it was just designing my character. So we got a lot to do still. If you guys are looking for people to play with and whatnot, I have all that info in my Discord. And I'm not really joining up with people on hunts yet because I want to get through some of that prologue, remember how to play again. But I'm really excited, and I'll be doing that shortly. Okay. Make myself small. And let's kind of see what we're working with here. So the Hodag's actually in the lead right now, and the Genie is tied for second. I'm going to make an executive decision and do a little bit of work on this Genie, just for like 15 minutes. And then whatever ends up pulling out in the lead, we'll jump over to that. How's that sound? All right. Got my timer going. Beautiful. Alrighty. I'm really happy with this pose. My husband did a fantastic job. We had another pose too where it's like a thumbs up, but this one is just so strong. I think I'm just going to focus on detailing this fellow. First thing I need to do is some of his muscles got a little blurry in the transition from Character Creator 4 to back to ZBrush. So we're going to go ahead and improve that. And then I'm also going to bring my subdivision levels back. I can do that by going to Geometry, Reconstruct Subdiv. You can only do this if you have perfect quads, otherwise it will not work. And it doesn't even always work, honestly. Unable to reconstruct, probably because of his tiny weird legs down here. Damn. Oh well, not a big deal. All right, I'm gonna come in with my clay brush and just add a little bit more definition. And then we'll be detailing his lovely hair. This was a model that was made on stream. It's one of those models where I was adding things kind of in jest at first, because like, you guys were like, oh, give him like a mustache and a goatee and mutton chops. And then once I had all 3 of them added, it actually ended up looking quite good, so I kept all of it. You guys can probably guess what I'm going to be doing all weekend, but I'm kind of curious. I mean, I'll let know what Aloha is doing this weekend too, but I'm curious what, if you guys have anything planned for this weekend or anything fun. Aloha says, I saw your floopy sliders run max as well. Yes, they were. We're talking about Monster Hunter. That's going to be a recurring theme here. For the Palicos, they now have like a proper long hair option. You're a little more limited in your patterns of like how well they show up, and then you can't like change your the tail style, which is a bit of a bummer, but it's so worth it. All right, we're gonna really bulk up some of these muscle forms here, coming with my damn standard brush just to give somewhere for that paint to catch onto. And then we got a little bit of funniness going on here with this deltoid. Armpits are notoriously goofy when you resculpt and pose them, so just be patient. That's a spot of contention for a lot of my students. They're just like, arms are really tricky and they deform a lot based on how they're moving. It just takes a lot of practice, and you kind of get better at realizing what does and doesn't happen and where all these muscles go. I like using the clay brush to add material and then trim dynamic to smooth down any of those gaps. As you notice, we have a few tears here and there that look a little strange. So we're gonna go ahead and clean all that up. And if I need to really keep any of this and have more control over the mesh, I can actually dynamesh it and then reconstruct the subdivs. But I don't think we're gonna have to go that far. It's already looking pretty good. This deltoid's a little squished over. We definitely need to bring up that bicep if he's flexing and reconstruct his little elbow. I find just using the move brush and just holding down Alt and pulling does a pretty good job. Corey is here. Welcome. Good morning. Corey, I was very impressed with your dragon blob. Actually looked pretty darn good. You have some really good fundamentals coming in there. It just makes me so happy that you're making art again. Hello, I'm excited to see like your progress on the hard surface assignment. Are you having fun with that? It's so different than what we were working on together before. It's really just an entire new tool set. I learned the Z Modeler brush in just bits and pieces over years because I found it very frustrating at first. I'm also a terrible learner. I could not be bothered to just properly sit and listen to a tutorial for 5 minutes. That would have saved me a lot of heartache. I get very impatient. It's important to get good at things. You have to be able to learn. I like teaching and I like doing. I don't like the sitting and taking in new information very much. Obviously I've gotten a lot better, but sometimes you can just tell when you're watching a tutorial and you just know like they're not going to get to the point. Oh goodness. But then if you're learning something that's kind of niche, you got to kind of stick with it because you know it's like your only option. I find if I just kind of struggle and learn on my own though, even though it's a bit slower, I do remember it for longer. So that's what I tell myself anyway. I can really define these. There we go. Use a damp standard brush instead. So your collarbone's a neat one. It actually kind of wraps around here. And from the top, it actually looks kind of like a bow. So it comes from this point here, and it wraps all the way, curves back, and then sits right on top of your deltoid. It kind of tucks right underneath it, really. And the cool thing is that whole bone moves up and down with your arm. All right, that's looking really good. Soon he won't just be this weird blue floating stub. Give me just a moment here, we're almost done. And then we can move on to detailing his hair, all the jewelry that we gave him and all that good stuff. There we go. And I will also give him his shirt back. Very nice. Beautiful, beautiful. Corey says thank you. Thank you for being a good sport. I mean, you've like joined the Discord, you've been popping back in. I mean, we were kind of obnoxious trying to encourage you to get back into it, so it takes two. Aloha says, I think creating some armor pieces is best. First steps because it has a lot of applications on models I'm interested in making next. Also, I'll add whatever I learn onto Aquila, so some armor shoulders or chest piece will be cool. That would be really, really cool. And that's a fun way to track your progress too, as you keep learning new tools, circling back to one project and then adding more pieces to it. I might recommend that for some of my other students. That's a really, really good idea. It didn't quite click with me that's what you were doing. That's so smart. All right, this bicep's looking a bit odd. I need to look at a quick reference to see what exactly is going on with those muscles. Flex, bicep, human. My Google search is chaotic. There it is. Perfect. Yeah, we got a little odd here. I started to, as I say, mumble with my sculpt because I was like, what is going on? All right. This is actually a lot smoother. And then there is a larger separation between the bicep and the rest of it. But it does tuck it under here nicely, so that was correct. Some parts were correct, some not so much. And then I'm also giving it this very cartoonish Popeye-like bump. And then this whole area should be tucked in more, actually. I didn't realize how much the armpit connects to the lats, which is this muscle here in the back. So this kind of like wraps into here. Ah, I see, I see. Let's go ahead and connect that. And then scoop this out here without RGB, thank you. There we go. Never needs to be perfect, but we're always looking for an improvement. All right, now let's get a much more confident crease right here, because we know that's going to be there. Perfect. Then come with my trim dynamic brush or even my clay and kind of smooth out this form here. I'll use my inflate brush to bring it together and pinch. That's an improvement. Still some wonkiness, but much better. I'll revisit that again once I've kind of given my eyes a moment to rest from it. There we go. Wolf says, oh, welcome Wolf and Foxy. Wolf says, I wish I could call off work for Monster Hunter Wilds. Same, but the peasants, we gotta keep the tavern open. But no, I do love my job, and I was like, there are days I'll take off depending, but I'm like, I don't even have to do a super long stream. It's really important to me to be consistent. All right, some of these rings kind of moved around in Character Creator, so let's go ahead and position these back. I have about 15 minutes left on my timer, and then I'll jump to the next winner of the poll, which is the Hodag. Which is a really bizarre cryptid. I think you guys are going to enjoy that one. There we are. I love these red gems. I think I'm going to paint this model. I don't paint most of my models just because I really don't have the time between making them, printing them, all that good stuff. But this one, I really like the color scheme that I've kind of blocked out here. Now I want to actually see it. I'm lowering this choker to best accentuate the pose, because everything needs to flow into each other. Adding some subdivision levels and then repositioning these gems. A really fast way to move things around is to grab your Move Topological brush with a high Z intensity, and then you don't have to worry about bringing out your gizmo, masking every piece individually. Just be careful that it's not looking too smeary as you push stuff around, especially with hard surface items such as a gem. Okay, Wolf, didn't you say that you're trying to get your Steam Deck to run Monster Hunter Wilds? That sounds like a challenge. Let me know how that's gonna go. I know you're not the only person that'd want that to work, so if you were able to get to work, I guarantee there's a Reddit thread that would be Very, very happy for any tips. There we are. Excellent. And we're just gonna kind of doing this, working around, making sure everything is making sense, complementing each other. I have a lot of gems I've rotated around here. So we're gonna go ahead and fix all of that up as well. I'm gonna be adding these red gems to his belt too. They're not visible as of right now, just because I think I removed them before posing in Character Creator. But I'm gonna be adding them back, so don't you worry. Looks like his thumb got a little bent up and funny here. Luckily, I plan to give him a thumb ring anyway, so we'll just put that there to hide that problem. Everybody wins. Excellent. Wolf says, Mia, yes I am. I love buying devices, but I also want a handheld Monster Hunter like G3. It's a Generation 3. I didn't actually play that one, but that would be such a cool experience. Monster's here. Hi. Wow, just popped in. So much character. Yeah, it's a really fun one. My husband did a great job posing it too. And then Foxy says, yay, I get to catch the stream. My fault with finishing work too late. It totally happens. And then Corey says, and this is talking, so Corey is a former student of mine. I also teach how to use ZBrush. And then like everyone, life gets really busy amongst just trying to be happy and all these other things, right? And then you have to feed yourself every day, which I still think is a riot. But anyway, so Corey's actually kind of come back into art recently, and part of that is by being part of these live streams, and really Aloha was just an absolute sweetie. Aloha is our unofficial mascot here, also one of my students, and just a positive force to be reckoned with. And yeah, it kind of coaxed Corey back into creating art again, which is just awesome. And they've been generous enough to kind of share these updates every now and then in my Discord. It's really been kind of a motivator for everyone, I think. So that's what Corey and I are talking about. Corey says, no worries, it honestly actually really helps to break through my negative self-talk. I need cheerleaders or else I'll be like, well, I suck. Just a mental thing, you know? I so get that. I've done this before, but like seriously, confetti and hearts for you. I love using my effects. I have any excuse. And like, I'm not like a vocal kind of cheerleader person in my tone, but know that I feel it. So that's why I need the confetti and hearts. But yeah, keep going on your journey. It's easy to overcomplicate art. You just keep doing it and you get better, I swear. Like that's it. That's the secret sauce. But to keep doing it is a lot easier said than done. So if you need cheerleaders, you're in luck. That's exactly what we do here. Aloha says, oh heck yeah, no more negativity. Exactly. Wolf says, I want to find a modder so we can make a potato mod for Monster Hunter Wilds. That would be a hoot. I am so excited to get more into Monster Hunter Wilds. Again, it released here at midnight, so I wasn't able to really play a ton. I really just spent an outrageous amount of time getting my character done and left it at that for the most part. I've like just gotten through that little bit of the prologue where you finally set up camp, and that's really it. I'm really excited to start doing hunts with you guys though. Again, I don't really play with other people online usually, so I'm a little clueless as far as like actually getting like matchmaking going, but I have all my information set to the side. I know in theory how we can get it all working cross-platform and all that goodness. And then of course, we're gonna have to do some streams where I do Monster Hunter-esque models, because I know some of you guys are gonna request that. And that'd be a really good time. Aloha says that little guy at the start is so cute and sad. Oh, I know. We're talking about the very beginning scene of Monster Hunter Wilds, and it looks like this game is going to actually try to have like a story, which is really interesting. I know technically every monster game has a story, but like, do they? I think I was most compelled by the story in Monster Hunter Rise. That's the last installment. But World is still my favorite overall. Though I did find the handler in Worlds to be like gratingly annoying. I would change the language from English to Japanese because I found that voice actor was a little less annoying. I'm very excited that the handler in Wilds just seems like a much cooler, more mellow girl. So I'm really excited about that. All right, let's get some more detail on these belts. Reminder that these belts were completely your guys' idea. I created this character on stream from scratch, and I wasn't going to add these originally, and then we voted on it, and it really just kept getting better and better, as it tends to do on stream. I'm going to use my Z modeler brush to add a bit of trim here using extrude and polyloop. I'm going through this very quickly, so if you are wanting to learn, or if you're just like, what the heck is going on, don't be afraid to ask. I am very open. What in the world? Oh, it's a really weird topology. That's why. I might need to reconstruct. Yeah, this bottom loop. If your topology is really weird, it's very hard to work with. Simple as that. It's not imperative for 3D printing because you're not animating or rigging it. That doesn't mean it doesn't suck to work with terrible topology. And that just kind of means how all the little shapes are laid out. So when I zoom in here, you can see like this grid here. That's all that means. That's the topology. For example, you generally don't want triangles, but it also just depends what you're trying to achieve, actually. Taylor says, something I struggle with as an artist. It's not so much skill in being to create something, but honing in on my creative voice. What might be your advice for this? That's such a good question. I'm gonna marinate on that for a second. Also, hi to Resting Witch Face. That just derailed that question for me. That's such a funny username. That is so good. Hello, Witch. And then Jolly Row. Hi, welcome. I'm pretty certain that you're a supporter on Patreon, so hi. And now I'm thinking more about Taylor's question. That's that's a solid question. I want to make sure that I have a coherent answer to that. Because that is something I'm good at. It like honing into my own creative voice. And I'm like, where did that come from? What worked for me? LinkedIn. You'll know I'm thinking, so I always look mad. I got mad thinking face. Okay, I have an answer. The question again was, Taylor does not have an issue with skill as an artist, but more so honing in their own creative voice. So how do you improve upon that? I would say it's practicing becoming your own biggest cheerleader. What does that really mean? Well, when I look at a work, any artist, it's pretty normal. I look at this and I think, I need to push his ponytail out so it's a better silhouette. I need to do this, I need to do this, blah, 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 blah. Something I bet that you don't do that I do is I look at this and I also can just as easily tell you what makes this model sing. And I give myself credit for that. And so I'm keeping a list of critiques in addition to praises for my own work. And then over time, I find that I'm praising my work for the same things over and over again. And that further helps refine and define my own creative voice, which is where my style came from. In the beginning, my style was just an amalgamation of all my artistic mistakes based on like my skill limitations, right? But now that my skills have improved. Like for example, with this model, what makes it sing? One, I do very well with a limited color palette. That's something that I'm strong at and I feel very proud of. Another thing is I always have a nice balance of textures in my models. That's another thing that I look for. And then I'm never worried about too much. More is more in my book. So those are some 3 things I think that kind of define me and my artistic voice. So to answer your question, really short recap, how to best improve and find and refine your artistic voice. You need to become your own biggest cheerleader. And the only way to do that is practicing praise of your work in addition to critiques of your own work. I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, let me know and I can explain it in a different concept. I joke all the time, but since I teach, I'm actually pretty good at redefining stuff. I can discuss it in terms of apples and oranges if I needed to. I'm very good with analogies. I love his ridiculous hairstyle. Oh, it's just so fun. That was a great question. Anyone's in the chat and has questions like that, never hesitate to ask. I might take a second to answer like I did that one where I have to really think about it, but those are the best kinds of questions. And never be worried about re-asking me questions even a few weeks later, because I usually will change my opinions and refine them. Corey says, topology/retopology flies right over my head. I only know how to make a blob thing with Dynamesh, or at least that's my favorite way to create so far. That's what I tend to end up doing. That's totally normal, and that's how I started too. I didn't start using better topology or even caring about that until I needed to, which is when I started using the Z Modeler brush. So, you're right on track. Sometimes it's best to not overwhelm yourself with learning everything you can in ZBrush until you have a need to. Otherwise, you're just filling up your creative toolbox for no reason. If you give yourself too many tools right from the onset, you might actually overwhelm yourself and get less done. Right now I'm kind of just playing. So that's the silhouette before, which is pretty boring. So I kind of pulled it out here to make it a bit more fun. It got a bit too poofy and a bit like a cheerleader ponytail, so let's go ahead and slim that down again and find a happy medium. I love scrubbing through my undo history so I can very quickly see a bunch of different changes I did and kind of find out where the most successful point was. Excellent. Foxy says, like pie or ice cream, more is more and more is better. That's a really funny sentiment. I love that. Corey says, that's a good way to look at it. I'll have to work on that. Absolutely. I think there's a few things about art and artists that just baffle me and do not resonate with me as an engineer or musician. One, it's like this grind of tedium. Like, I don't understand that. Like, I've seen artwork be praised just because they were so tedious and hard to make. Which, again, there's some admiration in that for sure. But that's odd. Like, don't wear yourself out and torture yourself for the sake of art. That's weird. And then being hypercritical on your art. Like, it's cool to never say anything nice about your art. That's weird. I don't understand that either. I feel like musicians, or the musicians I was around, are generally more, like, arrogant, I guess. And it works in their favor, because, I don't know, they love their work and they're really proud of it and they're happy to tell you all about it. Think of, like, that douchey guy in, like, high school with the guitar, you know? Like, all they can play is Wonderwall by Oasis, but they're so proud of it and they're having the best damn time. Be more like that guy. That's my chaotic advice. Because you're naturally more critical, you need to focus on being more positive. You don't have to worry about pumping yourself up too much because you have the opposite problem. That's really, really common with artists. I also think part of it is because you can scroll through ArtStation and within a minute, you can scroll through 100 different artworks that are absolutely amazing, inspiring, and objectively better than you, which doesn't make you feel good all the time, right? But with music, it takes more, to listen to 100 different songs, it takes like at least 100 minutes, right? So I think that's another reason why artists are so critical on themselves, because it's so much easier to take in a bunch of content. Does that make sense? Which says, I'm a digital illustrator, but I would really like to translate what I know over 3D modeling. I'm an absolute beginner with 3D modeling. What's a good place to start learning? A good place to start learning is ZBrush Core Mini. It is free. You can just have some brushes and you can just play around. So let me go ahead and link that for you. ZBrush Core Mini is the baby version of the software that you see right here. Just have fun. Don't worry about anything looking good. Remember, you don't have to be good at your hobbies to enjoy them, and that's essential. If you're having fun with that and you want to explore past that, I do teach. My mentorship program is $30 a month, and yes, I have videos for you to follow, but the real benefit is you get me. It's one-on-one. We'd have a Discord chat, and yeah, it's just absolutely tailored to what you want to learn. And a lot of my students are actually in the chat right now. Monkey's here. Hi, welcome back, Monkey. Aloha is one of my students too. That's why she's mentioning my tutoring program. And since you're here on the stream, it can kind of serve as almost like a preview of what my mentorship program is like, because you can kind of see how I answer questions and how I talk and that kind of thing. Because everyone's different, and even though some people might like the way I talk, maybe someone else finds it hard to understand, you know? That's another reason why I love live streaming, because it's kind of like a free trial. And then when people like Taylor ask fantastic philosophical questions about art, I can really tune into that too, because art is just as much of a skill progression game as it is a mental game. In the beginning, you're always like, oh, like anatomy, this and that, these big concepts, gesture line, figure drawings, line of action, right? All these technical terms. And then you'll find what's actually the hardest thing to do is just to get into the habit of creating every day. All right, my timer just went off, so I'm gonna look at the poll here in a moment and see what's in the lead, which looks like it's the Hodag, which is a cryptid from Wisconsin. That's gonna be a brand new creature that I'm gonna start concepting on stream for you guys today. It's an odd one, so we're gonna be patient, and that's me talking to myself, because I already know I'm like, it's gonna have a longer ugly face than my average model does, which sometimes I'm in the mood for and sometimes I'm not. I'm gonna have to be in the mood for it today. All right, so to these fabric folds, I just went through with my standard brush and kind of strike in a bunch of forms here. I'm quickly adding and removing material by holding down Alt, which will invert the behavior of your brush. There we go. Perfect. I'll probably add some more gems here later, but we have a pretty good starting point right now. His expression also needs work. It's fun and has a fair amount of personality, but we can push this farther. So I'm gonna zoom in on his face. I promise we will start on that Hodag. I'm just having kind of in the zone right now. All right, I'm gonna remove poly paint just so I have a simpler way to look at the forms here. And we're gonna adjust some of the lines here, one, so they will 3D print easier and paint, and just for clarity of forms. I'm using Lazy Mouse to kind of remove any of like the stutter or the shake from my hand, which we all have to some extent. I'm having a hard time with this other eye. There we go. There's a few areas I always like to build up, which is the eyelids, the lips, and the bridge of the nose. I really exaggerate that vermilion border, which is normally just painted on, not sculpted on. But it's kind of a stylistic thing that I've come to really like. Let's kind of pull in that dimple here, which I think is covered by his mustache, but just knowing that it's there makes me happy. All right, and then he needs to have a bit more squint to this eye, almost like a wink. All right, that's looking a bit stronger. The mustache is going to be a big part of this, and we'll need to detail it in just a moment. Same with his goatee. It's kind of falling off his face now. Excellent, excellent. Oh, Cameron's here. Hi, Pixel here. Hey, Pixel. I'm glad you said who you were. Otherwise, I'd be like, you're new. No, you're not new. You're one of my students. And then Taylor, going back to what I said earlier, yes, be that douchey Wonderwall guy. I understand. In all seriousness, though, that's a piece of advice I'll have to ruminate on. Ruminate. That's a great word. And yeah, think about it. It's fun. If you're really having trouble with becoming your own cheerleader and finding your artistic voice, I recommend getting just a notepad and just jotting down a couple things that you liked about your work that are stand out and feel unique to you. It's going to feel trite in the beginning. It's going to feel like affirmations, like I am enough, I have enough, but they really work. They really, really work. Corey says, is that what Sculptures turned into? Yes, ZBrush Mini Core. That's the very first thing I tried, but I don't think it's around anymore. No, I don't think so either. And yeah, Mete Monkey, ZBrush does try to hide their baby version. They just want you to pay for the full version. And then Witch says, I'm downloading now. I didn't know ZBrush had a free baby version. Thanks for the direction. You're very welcome. That's what I'm here for. Pixel says, yeah, it's my personal YouTube account. I was lazy and did bug switching. Totally fine. I really appreciate you saying who you are, though. Yeah, what's worse is there's a cheaper version of ZBrush called ZBrush Core, and I can't find the darn thing anymore. And I used to recommend that for my students because it's only $10 a month instead of $40, and now I cannot find it. So if you guys are able to find ZBrush Core out in the wild, please, please share a link with me in the Discord so I can start sharing it with my students again. Because they disappeared it in the last week or so, which is really, really disappointing. All right, I need to add some lines to his face because it's perfectly smooth up here and it's weird. All right, that's good enough for right now. We made a lot of really good improvements, and now it is time to start on that new request you guys put in, which is the Hodag Cryptid, which is actually tied with the Genie. I'm gonna keep working then. For those who are just tuning in, feel free to vote, and that will get me to change the model I'm working on, but we're currently tied, so I'm gonna keep working on this because it's in front of me. Mark B is here. Hello, welcome back. Are the 5 brushes you like in the core version? Yes, sir. They sure are. The Z Modeler brush right here, I don't think that is, unfortunately. But that's, again, it's almost like a totally different technique. But as far as my core sculpting brushes that I'm kind of circling on right now, yes, those are all included in core. Cameron says, looking for it now. Thank you. I just cannot find the darn thing. I'm going to go ahead and put an invite to our Discord because I don't have that on screen as of right now. All right, there's a Discord invite for y'all in the chat, just in case you're lurking and you're a 3D artist or whatever. We are always sharing a bunch of resources there, and it looks like Cameron might be able to find core, which would be great. I think that's what you're using too. So it should be findable. I found an old version of Pixelogic's website, but when you actually click on the link to purchase it, it is no longer active. I might even email Max on support and be like, hey, please give me a link for this. I have people that need it. So as I talk here about art and all that good stuff, what I'm really focusing on with this model is just circling through and improving every little detail so they complement the pose as much as possible. So something that I'm doing kind of in my head is I'm looking at the silhouette here, which I can kind of toggle on really quickly by looking at this. It's a line silhouette, which is fine. We can cheat as a 3D model. But I'm just making sure that's readable and clear from all angles, the same way you would in 2D. There we are. All right, I heard a do-do-do. I think that might have been someone pinging me in the Discord. Yes, Pixel. Thank you, thank you. So you found it. ZBrush Core Mini. Let me bring up that link really quick. Those are the old versions of ZBrush. I'm still not finding ZBrush Core. I really appreciate you looking though, I do. Oh, it's 2021.6.7. Okay, cool. Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate that. All right, let's make sure that all of these little doodads and stuff are laying correctly. Again, everything I designed here is for 3D printing, which is really fun, but it does come with its own little host of challenges. And one of them is making sure that there's enough material on things so that it's actually going to be printable. If everything is super hair strand thin, it will not print. And as far as like my practice and figuring out what is going to be thick enough or not, I've made almost 1,000 models at this point, if not over 1,000 models. So some of it's just trial and error. But also 3D printers have gotten a lot better over the last few years, which has also made my job significantly easier. So huzzah to that. Oh, and my dog is back in the room. So that blue blob back there, that blanket on the floor that's wrapped in that dog bed, there's a dog in there. You just cannot see him because he burrows, and this is his morning nap. Almost important as his evening nap. Right now I'm selecting different jewels here so I can split them into their own subtools. It just makes them a bit easier to handle because the chains are not quite lining up. So I'm going to need to stretch them. So be very careful about the way I do that. So I'll continue to split these in different pieces. Also using a masking brush here, which kind of looks like a black paintbrush. It's just a big selection tool essentially. There we are. Kind of tuck that closer into the body and then use my inverted move brush to pull it away. There we go. So now it's all, what I really did there is I added a bunch of material to all these little gems and then laid it flat on his chest. So now I don't have to worry about any 3D printing issues. Excellent. Really happy with that. Volt's here. Hello, welcome back. Greetings, fellow humans. I'll be mostly AFK. I have to scamper around the office and do sneaker net side quests today. Sounds good. And then Aloha's asking, where is Pookie Bear? I will now have to show you guys who Pookie Bear is. Pookie Bear is not my dog, as you guys might have guessed. Pookie Bear is this biomechanical lich that we made the other day on the stream. So this is Pookie Bear. Obviously not something that I named, but you know, peasants are gonna peasant, and that's what I call my viewers. And that's what they picked. But they also helped me design this and made some great decisions. So, you know, if there's one bad decision every now and then, I guess I'll just roll with it. Alright, that's enough of him. Back to our Genie. Ella was happy. Very good. So I like this smoke effect a lot, but I do feel it's not quite high resolution enough. And what I mean by that is I'm looking for like that extra punch of detail, kind of like we have in like the crispiness of this swirl here. So I'm gonna do a couple things here. One of the first things I'm gonna do is improve my ambient occlusion so I can really see these shadows, and then adjust my lighting of the scene. You can do that by going to light and then clicking around on this little orb here, and it's literally moving your light within the scene. And what's cool is you can have multiple lights. I tend to like to have one from the left shining down, and then a secondary backlight, which I usually like to put some sort of warmth or color on. There we go. That's looking a bit nicer, so I can kind of see what's going on. Let's see how a noise modifier looks on this. At the very least, it's fun to look at, so let's do that. I'm opening up Lightbox with comma, and I'm scrolling down here to look for some sort of swirl pattern. I'm not even sure what exactly I'm wanting. I'm just gonna play around here until I find something that I think is gonna be meaningful or interesting. I've used this texture before. Obviously it's not gonna be nearly this strong, so don't you worry. Afterwards, you bring up your surface palette and edit. It brings up this little window here, which is pretty much like a mini thing for you to play with. There we go. That's pretty cool. I just could tell it was missing something. All right, we're gonna make it white for right now. And I'm gonna make this pretty subtle too, so it's not so clearly liney or candy cane-esque. I'm really playing with my sliders and getting something that looks organic and interesting. All right, now we have this cool shape here. So I'm gonna toggle it on and off. It's a little hard to see the true form because the poly paint, which is the color, is also changing. But yeah, what do you guys think of that improvement? A lot of this is actually now sculpturally added, which I think is gonna be a nice, fun thing. It still complements this wispy effect, but it really upgrades it. And then y'all are talking about Pookie Bear still, which is great. All right, we're gonna go ahead and click Apply to Mesh. But first, I'm actually gonna subdivide one more time, make sure I have enough resolution for that. There we go. And then let's poly paint this correctly. I have my paintbrush on drag rectangle, which allows me to create these really nice gradients super quickly. Whenever autosave box comes up, don't touch ZBrush. It gets very upset when you interrupt its autosave process. Like, very upset will crash on you. All right, now let's construct this nice gradient here without making him look like he's naked, because that would be odd. Kind of throwing in some different splotches of purple. Another way you could do this that'd be really fun is you could actually change your paintbrush to color spray. And I'll take whatever color you have selected and kind of just grab next to it. Here, can you guys really see what's going on here? Let me make it obvious. There we go. You guys see that? That's a really good effect for this. I can tell I'm gonna have to sneeze, so I keep looking over to mute my mic before I sneeze, but then I'm not sneezing. It's gonna like sneak up on me. Okay. And then one of my favorite tricks here, which is drag rectangle and backface mask. If you haven't seen this trick before, watch this because it's really, really cool. So ambient occlusion is a really nice effect, and usually you don't like paint that on in 3D softwares, but I found a way you can with Move and are using backface mask. So when I click and drag, I'll make this pure black so it's obvious. If I change, like I pick an angle like this, it will just grab that one side. Normally, if I were to do that, it would just paint the entire model pure black, which is not helpful. But again, with backface mask, which is available under your brush modifier, based on wherever you pick your light source, I'm gonna rotate kind of like here, you can paint in shadows. So here's the before and like the after. It can be more on the subtle side depending on how you do it, but it's a really, really cool way to add depth. And in this case, I don't want to use pure black. I want to use a dark purple to get that effect. And I'll go right underneath. That is not a dark purple, that is blue. That is very blue. There we go. There we go. That is cool. And then I can even go through here and grab some of these swirls and get that similar ambient occlusion shading effect. Now that has some really cool, fun dimension in it. I'm happy with that. Aloha says, I didn't realize Lightbox had a noise selection, just press on. Yeah, isn't that fun? Just keep in mind that it's a preview, it's not real. So to make it real, you have to go to the surface modifier under Subtool and click on Edit. And it'll only be available if noise is enabled. So if it's grayed out, the edit box, that's why. Monkey says, I like to think that under that robe of smoke, the Gen has a pair of really, really short shorts. I mean, what it's actually happening is he has just really disturbing tiny feet. These are feet. They're just very, very small. Taylor says, how about a tramp stamp? Taylor, you crack me up because you come in with these fantastic, incredible ideas. Taylor previously suggested having the lamp for the genie be embedded in the heart, which I'm gonna have to do that model at some point. But every now and then they come in with tramp stamp request. I never know what I get from you, and I think that's part of the fun. Even earlier this stream, you asked like this really lovely philosophical art question about like growth and perspective and honing your artistic voice. Ella's back. Hello, welcome back. We're not doing a tramp stamp? No, Aloha. You guys can't say that when Ella gets here because I know she's going to chaotically improve of that. It's what she does. All right, we're going to merge these belts down. I'm a big fan of them, but I want them to be even more angled. So the easiest way to do that is simply to merge these subtools down together. Subtools just mean pieces of the model, and you can make as many or as few pieces as you want. Alrighty, so I'm going to merge the belt buckles, these little fun strand bits. Make sure they're positioned correctly. And now you'll notice that these are all kind of highlighted together, as opposed to like this gem is its own piece, this tail. Can I call that a tail? I don't know what to call that. Smoke legs. All right. Can't decide how I want to position this. I want it higher on his hip, I think. I don't know. I just want more swoosh. There we go. More swoosh. It's not like a huge change, but more. And if I can, I'd like to have these ribbon bits touch the smoke legs. Haven't decided what I'm going to call those yet. Just for 3D printing purposes. It's okay if some of it's fragile, but it better have a good reason for being fragile. That's my rule of thumb. It better significantly and meaningfully impact the model. That's going to be a pain. I'm still going to thicken it up as much as possible to prevent any issues. There we go. And I do think having it so it's not just a flat square, but instead like a tapered ribbon edge will look nicer. So let's go ahead and do that. I can't believe how lively the stream is today. We almost have 20 people here. That deserves celebration. Thank you guys for being here. I really just want to leave and play Monster Hunter Wilds, but I also do love my job, so I will hang out and do that thing that literally is my full-time job and keeps the lights on. That is important. Monkey says, Mia is afraid you will approve of that. He's hella fruity. I knew it, Ella. Oh, yeah, are you kidding? Absolutely. We are not kidding. We are kidding. We are not doing that. Honestly, fine. Okay. We can, you know what? That's fine. We can do a tramp stamp because no one will see it. Here. What? I can just paint it on and then everybody wins. Is there an alpha here that's speaking to y'all? This is dumb. That looks tribal and silly. How do I invert that? Look what you guys have me doing. This is not important. Me not knowing how to invert this mask on this alpha because I don't paint tramp stamps for a living. We're just gonna put this little blob right down there, and you guys will know it's there. There. Everybody wins. Now we can move on. Sculpting it is where I draw the line. We're not making a 3D printable tramp stamp. Please and thank you. But I am gonna add a bit more definition to his abdominal muscles just so they catch paint, because right now they're a little smushy. You'll notice that I'm not just tracing each abdominal muscle. That's how you get a really weird inorganic look. Instead, I'm kind of like finding different lines to grab onto, and then I'm gonna build up those forms a touch more using the clay brush. Something I see students do in the beginning, they will be like, oh cool, the damn sander brush is so cool, and they will like draw on the abdominal muscles. Don't do that. Resist the urge. And then if you go over them again with the inflate brush, you actually get that natural looking overlap of skin. There, kind of punch those up a little bit, and that's already going to print nicer. We got a funny thing going on here with this bicep muscle. It's really supposed to be moved over. There we go. I feel like this needs to be not so skin tight, and I'm realizing that now. Let's go ahead and merge down these little embellishments, and then I'm gonna pull the vest off of him. There we go. Look how much better that looks. Swoosh. And we swoosh to the left. Very good. Much better. I knew Natalie would be a fan of this model. Natalie is Ella, Ella is Natalie. They're the same person. Mikey is here. Hello, welcome back. Volt says, but we'll all know it's there. Yes, very nice. Oh my gosh. I'm going to let Aloha build that lore up. If you're just joining the stream and you want to see Pookie Bear, let me know and I'll bring Pookie Bear up. Oh, peasants. Y'all be extra peasanty today. Genie cheek, no. I'm always terrified that my grandparents are gonna like tune in and be like, oh, let's see what Mia's doing today. And the chat's gonna be doing what you guys do. And they'll be like, oh, that's nice. I have the best grandparents. And they're actually really tech savvy and stuff. So they understand what I'm doing for a living. But I also don't think they quite know what hooligans my audience is. I mean, you guys are fun. I can't say you're not fun. Oh, do we still have confetti going? Or is that just my stream? Okay, sorry. My stream preview is still showing confetti. I'm like, have I had confetti going for the last half hour? It's not that exciting of a stream. And they were roommates. Beautiful. Both magical entities. Oh, there's definitely some jokes we made here about wish making and granting. But we're not. Nope. This is a PG stream. Thank you. Okay. Pookie Bear is one thing. Cheeks is another thing for a name. Like, it's fine if it's like a squirrel, and then everyone's thinking of the right cheeks, you know? I'm gonna have to ignore the chat now. You guys are in timeout. Bad peasants. Shoot, this model's almost done. Alright, let's go ahead and detail his facial hair a bit. We've got mutton chops, we've got a mustache, we've got a lot going on. And I grabbed his gums by accident. That's 2 teeth and gums. Yeah. You don't see it, but there are just teeth floating back here. You know, I know this looks ridiculous without the body, but hear me out. I do think it'd be awesome if I could figure out how to make a model like this 3D printable. You can't tell me this doesn't have like some cool to it. I'm reading the chat and I am choosing to ignore you guys. Peasants be peasanting. Y'all really do. Alrighty. You're detailing hair. Alright, here's an actual tip. Let's say you're a lurker and you're like, gee, I'd love to actually learn something useful. This is your moment. Alright. So in addition to all these brushes in ZBrush, you can click B for brush on your keyboard to bring up the brush palette. We got lots and lots and lots. But wait, there is more. If you go to your lightbox, there is an additional brush tab here, which some other brushes that aren't by default in your brush palette. That's a mouthful. Lightbox has secret brushes. You can bring up Lightbox by clicking comma and go down to slash right here. I love, and there's 3 slash brushes. These both suck. Use the one at the bottom. All right. This slash brush is really, really cool if you know how to use it, and it actually works well for blocking out details on hair. So, one, make sure your resolution is like ridiculously high. I even recommend dynameshing it and then subdividing to make sure your topology is as even as possible. Then enable your lazy mouse so it's somewhat high, and then watch the magic of the slash brush. By default, it has poly paint on, which you can keep or not keep. If you want to keep that, it's just in here. You can adjust your RGB and turn it on and off. I'm gonna keep it because it's kind of cool. And there you go. This slash brush is really cool. Let me turn off. See that beautiful line that it cuts? Look how cool that is. And it really does work well for like quick hair detail. So I wanted to just really show that off for you guys and continue to ignore the chat. Also, kind of a sad note, if you do not have poly paint like visible, even if you're using a brush that you have poly paint baked into, it won't show up anymore. So for example, see how that's white? If I go here and hide this, it won't show up anymore. Just so you guys are aware, you have to actually paint with the thing that it says it's going to be. All right, let's go ahead and strike in some detail here. It really works well if you go from the hairline too, so you get like an uneven hairline, which makes it look more organic. Don't mind that his eyes are like a little looking in the wrong direction. That won't affect the actual 3D model. He's just gonna look, oh, that's horrifying. Anyway, he's gonna just look like that when it's 3D printed anyway, so don't worry about it. Demon Genie. But there you go. You have some really nice hair detail there that was really quick to do, and 3D prints and dry brushes beautifully. Dry brushing something this small I know is already difficult, but if you have those skills, congrats. This will make it look even better. We're gonna go ahead and make this mustache even swoopier. Going back to my slash brush. Oh, and once you go into Lightbox to grab a brush, it does show up on your brush palette again. It won't actually stay here though, unless you go into your startup files and then add it there manually. This is a harder one to do. Oh, I need to dynamesh it first. The slash brush, one thing about it though, it really does demand very high resolution. Otherwise, it doesn't look good. It looks really pixelated. So just keep that in mind. You might be working a lot higher than you normally would need to. It's definitely a detail that you add towards the end. Also, it's directional where it adds or removes material. So I was going from left to right on this side. I will need to continue to do that on the other side to make sure that these curves match up. Taylor says that mustache is perfect, just the right level of swoop. Thank you. I'm gonna throw a couple lines in the bottom. This isn't really visible, but if any of it is visible, I just like to check my bases. Let's go ahead and fit this to his face just a touch better. Excellent. He looks great. Now we're gonna do the same thing for the mutton chops. Which feels ridiculous to call them that, but that's what they are. Really, what direction does this... These are my first mutton chops, guys. We're just gonna add some detail and call it good. They look like little bananas on his face. We need to rough up the edge here so it does not look like that. There we go, that's better. guys for hanging out with me. It's making not playing Monster Hunter right now not feel like the end of the world. Oh, anyone that's hanging out or lurking, reminder that you are very, very invited to join our Discord. We talk about 3D modeling, 3D printing, we have some pretty good meme content, and then recently we're actually using it to join up for hunts in Monster Hunter. If any of that sounds interesting to you, let me know and I can put our Discord invite in the chat right now. If you're a lurker and you're too terrified to ask for an invite, just scroll up the chat. I already put one in there earlier today. Alright, we're going to add some detail to his little hair bobble. These lines, these edges are just a little too close together, so I'm going to delete some edge loops to get a better, wider band of detail at a time. There we go, and now I can kind of just throw in some loops. Don't touch it when it's auto-saving. If you ever think like, gee, your ZBrush program sure auto-saves a lot, yes it does, and that is by design. I have it auto-save every 3 minutes because ZBrush likes to crash, and I'm not here for it. I work quickly, but doesn't mean I don't hate losing work still. Alright, this is coming out pretty nice. And to grab his earring here and move it up so it's going through his ear, not just sitting on it awkwardly. I also don't think his nose ring is big enough. What a sentence. I never know what I'm going to say on stream. Just another day in the office. There we go. Alright, we're going to move his body back a touch to really give it that ridiculous anime lean drama. If you know what I'm talking about, you know. Beautiful. Mikey says, what system are you/we using to play Monster Hunter? I have it on my Xbox Series X. I debated having it on PC or my PS5, but I already have Monster Hunter World on my Xbox Series X, and I wanted that bonus. If you have saved data from the previous generation game, you get some sort of bonus. I don't even know what it is, but I want my outfits. Oh my goodness, I'm reading earlier up in the chat. You guys are going to scare off the newcomers. Corey says, how do you change how often ZBrush saves? What a wonderful on-topic comment, Corey. Thank you. If you go to preferences, quick save, right here. Maximum duration, I have it 3 minutes. Restoration, 600. And then I have a max amount of files saved to 200. If you're ever, so here's a really good tip for everyone, whether you're brand new to ZBrush or you've been using it for years. When you're going through ZBrush, you have an absurd, an offensive amount, truly, of menus and nonsense and buttons, and most of them don't do anything. And a lot of them aren't even very descriptive. Like quick save, when you have like maximum duration, it's like between quick saves, what does that mean? If you ever want to know more, all you have to do is hold down Command, and it'll bring up a window that tells you more information of what the heck it's talking about. So it's Command on Mac, that should be Control on Windows. But there you go. And this works anywhere in the menus. You can go over here, hold Control or Command, and it will tell you all about it. I use this all the time, and I highly recommend you do too. Even over things that you think that you know how they work, because if you read this description, you might find out you've been getting the right answer for the wrong reason, so to speak. Mikey says, cool beans. Hindsight's here. Hello, welcome back. Here's your confetti. Woo. Hindsight says, personal opinion, as they always are, but if I had chops that were isolated like that, I'd do something a little funky / fantastical with them. Basically, he'd have 5 islands of hair. That reminds me of Starburns from Community. It's like a sitcom show that's, I mean, it's been over for a while, but it's not that outdated. You guys have seen Community, right? You know Starburns. Someone here will know. Monkey says, I don't have a command key. Yes, it should be control then. And then Hindsight says, his fist looks tiny. It does look really small. I don't know why it looks so small, but we can definitely fix that. We're gonna fix that. I agree. It looks weirdly small. Your fist should be like, I guess if we put it up to his face, it's about proportional, but I agree. I think it looks too small. I don't even know why it looks small. Because that's not something that gets changed in Character Creator 4. Like, makes no sense. It needs to be at least 20% bigger. That just looks better with the silhouette too. I'd rather him have weirdly big hands than little tiny hands. Let's go up about 10%. And then one of these rings is just being goofy. Don't be goofy. That doesn't even look good right there. Let's put it somewhere else. It's a small detail, but his jewelry has got to look good. I think that's like quintessential to his character. There we go. Good enough. And the Ella mentions in Character Creator, she does the same thing where she increases the hand size and then sets the wrist thickness to maximum. That makes sense. I might do that in Character Creator 4, but it takes so little time to do it in ZBrush, I don't really mind too much. Especially because I think this other fist looks fine. It was just that one that looked really weirdly small. All right. Looking pretty darn good. I still need to detail his hair, but it's coming together. I'm gonna use that same trick I mentioned earlier, which is using my slash brush to kind of lay some details down, and then I'll go over with my fancy Danny Mac hairbrush to add fine strands in detail. Right now, we've been watching a lot of Futurama, so this is just making me think about Leela's classic hairstyle. Big fan of Futurama, by the way. Probably one of my favorite shows of all time. My only complaint with Futurama is sometimes I'm not in the mood to cry, and it's like, we're not funny today. Here's a really, really heart-wrenching episode. Nah. And I always forget which episode it's going to be, like what order it's on in the seasons. And then I'm crying at bed at 11 at night when I'm trying to fall asleep. You know, happens. Futurama. The funny thing is my husband likes to watch Futurama before we go to sleep. And he is not as sensitive as me. So he'll like play the sad episode in the middle of the night. And like he doesn't even realize I'm sitting over there just like crying. Alright, kind of threw on some liney texture there that I can now modify. This hair strand for now I'm going to make a lighter color just so it's easier for me to differentiate the two. Also, the idea of him having highlights is fitting this ridiculous headcanon that was developing in the chat earlier. Just a little bit of shaping, looking very good. Monkey agrees. They notice their hands get wonky when exporting back to ZBrush as well. I guess that's common. Huh. Let's see. Some good chat going on about Character Creator 4. And then Ella offered to do a stream later to show Monkey. That's very generous. Beautiful. Very good. Oh, and then in the chat, I see in our Discord, Hindsight dropped a facial hair that they're talking about. Okay, that is majestic. If you're not in our tavern, join us. And you can see this beautiful facial hairstyle that Hindsight provided. Now I feel like there's a missed opportunity. I'm not about to resculpt all of his facial hair, but that is epic. I love that. Guys crack me up. And then Ella mentioned they have a bunch of tricks for their Character Creator 4 to ZBrush workflow. Yeah, that's always feel free to share. The morph target thing is really cool. I'll let Ricky know about that. All right, we're just about at an hour here, and I'm pretty happy with the results we have. I do need a few more hair strands here that are gonna be detail heavy. Other than that, he's just about done, y'all. It's amazing how much a pose will do. Like, I was already really happy with his design here, but obviously not nearly as much charisma as this. This is fantastic. There's got to be a DM out there somewhere that let you play as this character. He just looks like a ball of fun. This hairbrush I'm using right here is called, it's from Danny Mac. It's not even that expensive, and he has a tutorial on Gumroad that goes with it. Highly, highly recommend. It's not the only brush like this. There's plenty that are really cool, but this is the one that I use, and I'm a huge, huge fan of it. I mean, honestly, you could even make your own if you wanted to. Once I get it mostly in place, then I come through with my Move Topological brush, and I can kind of pull some strands off to give it more of an organic look as opposed to a spaghetti look. See? Really quick. Beautiful. Hindsight says, just add a little Genie zazzle to them chops. He's talking about the facial hair here. Yeah, I can definitely kind of pull these shapes around, make them a little more fun. Maybe I'll do that after I finish this luscious ponytail I'm working on. You guys had some especially chaotic ideas and suggestions today. I'm here for it. All right, I'm pretty happy with that. I'm gonna have all of it merged down into one subtool so I can get some more even poly paint to make these highlights a little less dramatic. They're fun, but they're a little more intense than I'm wanting. And then of course, maybe a little bit of the spiral brush. He's got that like mean girl high pony going. I love it. You'll notice I never say working on one angle for too long. It's really important when you're working in 3D to remember you're working in 3D and look at all the different angles. Excellent. Hindsight says races are way easier to homebrew than classes. That makes sense, because then you just have like a few traits that, you know, I don't know, I guess this guy would probably have like a few buffs to maybe come with some innate spells. But other than that, it's not like an entire like combat mechanics system you have to get figured out. Hindsight says, I'm the kind of DM that would spend way too much time trying to figure out how to make genies, krakens, and beholders playable if my players really wanted it. That's the best kind of DM. Everyone appreciates DMs like you. Alright guys, I think he is complete. He's stunning. Even without poly paint, I just think this character reads incredible. There's a nice balance of detail here. I feel like the back of his head is weirdly smooth. I mean, he is a bald man, kind of. Can we call him a bald man if he has all that hair? I don't know. Probably not. Anyway. That's how you do. We'll do a side-by-side here, one with and one without color, because it's just a fun time. Where are his eyes looking? I cannot get the eyes to look at the camera. There? I could just manually move them. Picking some more dramatic lighting right now. And I'm going to brighten my entire scene just a touch. Beautiful. Bald queen. Wolf says, can we get a drag queen genie? Or Jen, we can get anything that you ask for. Available on Patreon. So that's actually a really good segue though. Everything I make on stream is a Patreon request. If you guys become a YouTube member, that's actually an option to make requests. But if you want the 3D printable file, it's a better deal to join Patreon, but they're both pretty darn good. That's my Patreon. You guys can join for free. Totally an option. Doesn't come with request, but it's pretty nifty. But yeah, this is my Patreon. I make a ton of models. Ooh, someone just asked for an Elden Ring model similar to Michaela. That's going to be fun. I accept every single request as long as it's fantasy or grimdark related. So yeah, I would love to see you guys request. I really would. Again, if you don't have a need for 3D printable models, you might as well just join the YouTube membership, and then you get a fancy tavern mug at the bottom, which is why Monkey has one down there, and Aloha. That's the gist of it. Man, this is a really fun one. So the guy that requested this is Pete. I actually have that on the tab right here, so thank you to Pete. Pete sometimes lurks in the stream, so if you're watching right now, Pete, thank you so much. I really appreciate the Patreon support, and you just have fantastic requests. This one's really fun because straight up he was like, I want like a Genie or a Jen or something. Go nuts, do whatever you want, which is also a really, really fun request for me. You can add as much detail or as little detail as you want. But it's nice I have a spread of different kinds of requests that I get. It really keeps my job fresh and fun. Monkey says, Pookie Bear approves of the dramatic lighting. Very good. Well, let's see. We are an hour and a half into the stream right now, and I think we're about done. I'm in a joking way, like I am itching to get back to Monster Hunter Wilds and play, But on a serious note, this is a really good stopping point in the stream. All I'm going to do now is just merge subtools down and remesh my union and reduce the poly count so that's easier to 3D print. That's pretty much it. So yeah. If you guys have any questions, or if you're lurking or you're new here, feel free to ask in the chat, or just telepathically really think hard and maybe I will answer your question if you're going to be shy. We're pretty friendly here though, so I wouldn't worry about that too much. How will the printer handle all of that cake? Cursed comment. And yeah, Monkey says, we need more mugs. But yeah, that's actually linked at the very top where the beer mugs are in the chat. Join the Taverb Guild. That's a link to that. But yeah, if you guys kind of hang out on the stream anyway and you want to just, I don't know, brag about it, you guys totally can. By default, I'll just put your username on the mug, but you can get creative with it. That's why Monkey, his mug just has the banana on it and inside of it, because obviously wouldn't drink beer probably. But I don't know. You can be whatever kind of primate you want. Corey says that gen's coming out super nice, honestly. Well done. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I really feel like in the last few months, my skill set has really taken another leap, and I have to credit a lot of that to these live streams and you guys being here. So thanks for being open with me and being comfortable enough to share your suggestions and your ideas, and knowing that I'll do my best to implement them while still keeping my own like artistic identity and integrity. Cameron says, then switch over to Monster Hunter. You know it. Aloha says, if anyone wants resin drinks at the Taverb, you need to request to be part of the Resin Eater gang. This is true. Aloha is our head Resin Eater manager. You guys were silly. Oh, I see a resting witch face joined our Discord. I'm really glad. I could tell they were going to fit in. Alrighty. I think that's going to be a wrap for the stream. Thank you guys so much for being here. I stream pretty much every single day around noon Eastern time. I start as early as 11 or as late as 1 p.m. But general rule of thumb, just think noon. And if I haven't streamed by 1, probably not going to stream that day. That's pretty much every day, so it's not that hard to find me. You can subscribe on YouTube so YouTube can yell at you for that. Or in Discord, I have a role called Taverb Peasant, and I'll ping you guys and peasants assemble. Alright. Have a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll probably be talking with a lot of you guys in the Discord later about Monster Hunter. Really, really excited. Okay, guys. Take care. Have a fantastic rest of your Friday. Bye.